Welcome back to Sometimes Love Isn't Enough, the Parenting Through Challenges podcast. I am your host, Angie Grandt, and today I want to tell you a story about a friend of mine. I recently became friends with an incredible woman. I've only known her for a few months, yet through human design, I know her at such an intimate level. Recently, she gifted me the opportunity to do a reading, an in-depth human design reading to show her the intricate story woven into her design. When I offered her the reading, she replied to me, "You must have sensed how much I needed this right now." I guess I did, at a deep level beyond my mind, at an instinctual knowing that she was in pain. I couldn't see it on her face. I couldn't hear it in her words. She hadn't shared any stories with me yet. I knew. So I spent the next week or so studying her energy, digging into her design, noticing patterns, seeing potential areas where she might get hung up, and taking notes on the gifts that she has to offer this world. Now, mind you, the woman that I knew, she's strong. She's a little sassy. She's ambitious. And she recently took a huge, huge risk. But her energy showed me this. It also it showed me her potential, but it also showed me her potential fears. Her fears that could easily trip her up without even her awareness. Her energy showed me that she's a catalyst for change, but it requires her to trust. It requires her to trust the universe and to trust in others. In her energy, I saw a woman with the ability to work her ass off, but also a need to retreat and create alone time to recharge. I also gleaned a deep, deep insight about the power that she holds to create more connection and intimacy in her relationships. As I shared these insights with her, she reflected back confirmation of how she experienced these things in her life. She shared stories and examples of how her energies have tripped her up again and again and again, and how they've led her to great things. She shared how some of her energies have led to deep conditioning and creating a story that it's not safe or okay to be herself. She then shared that she's going through a painful personal experience and expressed gratitude for, for me shedding light on the power that she holds over her most important relationships. The real work, however, and the massive shifts, they didn't actually happen in that call. They happened over the next several weeks as she reflected, asked questions. She really went in and started putting into practice what she had learned about her energy. As I sat with this beautiful friend this past week, she shared that since her reading, she's experienced massive shifts in herself, in her communication, and in her most important relationship, one that was on the verge of crumbling. She gleaned such awareness for where she's been stuck on repeat most of her life. She now sees it as an energy and not brokenness. She's shedding her shame and stepping into her tribal energy, an energy that is here to create and to love and to work with others. I listened as she spoke, and the way that she shared her story was just so incredibly different as she spoke to me this past week about her experience. She was a different woman. She was empowered and trusting, not desperate for how to fix things, but trusting that everything really relied on her surrendering and trusting in the abundance of what the universe has for her. It was powerful to see how this highly intelligent, highly successful woman was was able to take what on the surface could have seemed to be such a simple reading, and she was able to take this and like a ninja just shift her energy to show up for herself and for her family and for her business in ways that I don't think were possible prior to really stepping into her energy. She herself is a coach and helps others get unstuck as well. She had shared that she knew human design. She knew a little bit about it. She hadn't really dug in deep, but she, like many others, had this experience of learning her human design and kind of, I don't know, maybe I got this response of like, oh, that's cute or that's nice. But something shifted in her that day that we spoke. Something shifted in me. Something shifted in the way that I was able to weave the story of her energy together in a way that empowered her to embrace it, to snuggle with it, to let it just sink in to every cell of her body, to shift the way that she is being. So I know the human design isn't simple, but it can be easy because once you really see you and see the parts of you that really aren't you, then you have clear direction instead of desperately trying to figure out the struggle. When I think about what my journey has been like, I think early on, so much of it was almost denying the parts of me that were so shadowed, so clouded, so veiled by conditioning, by trauma, by generations past that had created in me. I allowed this creation of a story in me about who I was. And it took me a while to even start to break that surface shell. It took me a while to really understand what it meant to contemplate and integrate this energy. And now I look back and think the story that I was living just a couple of years ago about what I liked and what lit me up. Yes, of course, there were pieces of me in there all along, but I just feel such a freedom to be me and to discover what keeps me in alignment, what keeps me happy, where are my bumps along the road? Because life isn't supposed to be easy peasy. We're supposed to have hurdles and challenges and struggles along the way. That that is the catalyst for our growth. And I now get to approach them with so much more ease and clarity and curiosity. And I'm not saying that life is a walk in the park, right? Because it does still happen and I still get stuck in my own patterns of responding. But now, when I'm stuck in that loop, at some point, sometimes very quickly, sometimes it takes me a bit longer, but when I'm stuck in that loop, I have this ability now to step outside of myself and to recognize what's happening and to make a key decision about staying stuck, staying a victim to past stories that have been embedded in my energy, or I get to decide that I want to change the narrative for myself and for future generations. So this is my challenge for you is what parts of your story are holding you back? What parts of your story just don't feel like they fit? They don't feel like they're you. They don't feel right to you. What parts of your story are just causing you unnecessary pain and struggle or fear or keeping you stuck in that victim loop? Because there's no shame, right? We've all been there. We all will be there again. But this is where we start. We start by noticing, acknowledging, and doing the work to let go what's no longer serving us. So that's it for this episode. I'm so grateful for you hanging out here and listening to this story of my beautiful friend who she didn't even know what she was getting herself into when she signed up for that reading. But I know that her life will never be the same. So that's all for today, and we will talk soon.